Hi, welcome to MICR 130 online at Leeward Community College. My name is Dr. K, and some of you will have me as your lead instructor, and some of you will have this guy, Dr. Neopane. And even though you'll probably see me in most of your videos, the two of us work very closely together, and we kind of run the whole thing together kind of behind the scenes. This video is intended to cover the basics of this course, how to navigate, how to find things, what to do each week, and then provide you some basic tips and tricks. So it's helpful to get yourself familiar with this course. Make sure that you set yourself up to succeed for this semester right from the beginning and not make up for things at the end. Because one of the things I will say is that points now are worth the same as points later. So don't miss out on things just because you didn't take the time to get yourself set. And you should do this for all your classes. So make sure that you set yourself up for a positive semester, and so we're maximizing our ability to succeed. So watch this video, watch it a couple times if you have to, and let's have a wonderful semester. When you log into the class, this is what our homepage will look like. And so often when we reference the homepage, this is what you'll see. For the first little while, you may see a different page that kind of directs you to watch the video first, but there's a little link there that'll say, click here to go to the homepage, and then that'll bring us to the homepage. Here you will see our contact information right over here. Phone number, phone numbers or phoning is not the best. Email is preferred, right? And so email me, it's much, much better. I do have an office on campus, but since we're an online asynchronous class, many of you don't come to campus, so I'm more than happy to meet via Zoom. So just email me and then we can deal with it. If you're not an email type of person, or you don't maybe check your email regularly, you can use this app called Remind. It's a very common educational app. And then every time I send out an important email announcement, I'll also send out a reminder through this app just to basically say, hey, check your email. If you're an email checker regularly, don't worry about it. If you're one of those, just in case, sign up for it. It's not necessary to do so, but totally can if you want. Our textbook is right here. You can just click on that. That'll take you to a free open source textbook. I know some of us like a physical book, and I believe you can purchase it. You can go and look for it or ask them to print it for you, but it is free, right? Our previous textbook used to cost $180, so I wouldn't. And then just use it. It's a very easy read. Generally, it's going to serve as a guide to how we do things, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more. And then always this one reminder, and we're going to remind you all the time, just check the discussion board every day. Just get in the habit of checking it. And I know some of us don't log on to the course every single day, right? But whenever you log on, check the discussion board. Just check it. There's stuff on there. Sometimes it's going to be assignments worth points. Don't miss out on those assignments. Sometimes it's going to be people asking questions that can help you out. And I'd like us to use our discussion board as this repository for questions, for informations, for way to share knowledge with each other. And so many times, if you'll email me, I'll often say, just post it on the discussion board. I'll answer it there. It's so much better. And I'll show you how to kind of navigate the discussion board more efficiently. It's very simple. It takes very little time. So you cannot complain about how it takes too much time. Our homepage shows a schedule. So this is when things start. This is when things end, right? And so module 1 starts on August 21, and it ends on September 3rd. And then notice, by the way, that's about 2 weeks because there's this lot of registration flux over the first couple of weeks. So our first module is this really slow intro to the class. Don't get fooled by the pace, because normally our modules will run from Saturday to Sunday, and that's not one day, it's 8 days, right? And so Module 2 will start September 2nd to September 10th, and people often ask what time. Generally like 8 a.m. is when it starts, but usually it's when does it finish? Like 11:55, 11:59, something like that is when it ends, right? And keep in mind that that's when things end. Although I will tell you very soon, don't wait for the end. It's not a good way to live life. A couple of things along the way. There'll be some group projects involved. We'll discuss that later. And then our exam period. For each exam, we have four of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You get your normal module period, so 8 days, September 16th to the 24th, for example. In this case, for exam 1, and each exam covers the previous 3 modules. So exam 1 will cover modules 1 to 3, 2 covers 4 to 6, etc., 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 etc. So you have lots of time to finish your exam. Also notice that that's when our disease profile projects are due, right? So you have lots of time to do the exam, to finish parts of the project, right? And so generally, when you run into time issues, it is going to be because you did not manage your time very well, right? And so everything's laid out for you. The first little while, just really get into a habit of managing your time, especially when it comes to the group project, because you're now going to have to juggle multiple schedules, okay? And we'll deal with that when we deal with that. Let's click on each module and see what they look like, right? And sometimes, by the way, it goes to the bottom of the page. I don't know why it does that. So you just scroll up to the top. And each module, what you're going to have is the lecture notes. Let's open one up. And then, so here are the notes. Sometimes they match 100%. Sometimes I'll say things. I forget exactly what I say. But generally, these are going to follow the PowerPoints, right? And so if the non-narrative PowerPoints, they're right over here. And so this is basically the lecture that I'm going through, right? And you can just basically read this, and it'll cover pretty much, I would say 99% of the course content, right? However, the better thing to do is to go and actually sit and listen to the narrated lectures. Now, people have said that they listen to it at 1.5 speed or 2 times speed. Whatever works for you, right? I'm not going to tell you how to take a class, but within the lectures, we're going to say things that help understand things a little bit better, but also provide some extra context to things, sometimes provide a little bit of extra knowledge, and some of those things may or may not end up on quizzes, and they'll certainly help. So I would watch the narrated lectures, and I also would go through this without this idea of I need to complete the lecture. I would sit there and listen to this and say, I need to learn the lecture, right? And so don't make it a thing that, okay, I did it, check. It's like, what did I learn from that? And part of our journey here is going to be just exploring how we do things. And so for me, usually I have to listen to a lecture, take my notes, and then once I finish that, then I go back, reread my notes, and then start to figure out what did I understand, what don't I understand? And then I can go back to the lecture and try to fill in some of those gaps. Go to the textbook, read the textbook, by the way. Surprisingly, it helps. And the textbook will help, again, just say the same thing with different words. And sometimes that really helps reinforce things. And then you can use the non-narrative PowerPoints just as a way to review. Just kind of go through the slides like, oh yeah, this slide makes sense. This slide makes sense. This slide makes sense. Whoop, this one here doesn't quite. And then you can go back and fill in gaps of knowledge, right? And these are the kinds of things that you should do for everything in life, not just for this class, right? Really, everything. You're not going to see one time and, okay, I'm an expert on this now, although I know that's how young people like to think. It takes multiple exposure to something for you to really understand what it is that you're supposed to be learning. And so that's going to be my tip number 1. Make sure that you watch the narrated lectures, make sure that you fill in the notes, and then you really should go in with this mindset of repeating and going through your notes multiple times. Okay? And then to get back to the homepage, you can just click on the homepage and then just go through all the different modules. They're all open. If you want to go and run ahead, you're totally welcome to do so. Generally, I say just move with the class. It's a little bit easier. This way you're not overwhelmed. There is a general volume of content to learn in a class just like this, just like there is in physiology or pharmacology or anything like that. But the problem usually with these types of things is when you take all your content in at once, right? And so in many times in my lectures, I'll ask you to take a break. I do try to simulate a class-like environment. And then we often just say, okay, well, it's just going to be this and a couple quizzes and some of this and that. So just bang, that's all I need to do. I got 2 days over there. I'm just going to cram it all in 2 days, right? And so once again, that's a bad thing. Usually what I would do is lecture or everything opens, let's say on a weekend, I would just start watching that lecture, and I'd probably watch it just casually, and just what do I know, what do I integrate, what is like sounds weird, and I would just kind of like maybe even pseudo run it in the background, just as my first run through. And then once I've done that, then I'll maybe the next day, not the same day, the next day or 2 days later, then I'll just properly watch the video at that point, fill in the lecture notes as I'm doing it, and just see, oh, surprisingly, a lot of this stuff seems to have stuck, and some of this stuff is super complicated, I don't understand it. That's the kind of stuff you bookmark for later. And then you can start filling in some of those knowledge gaps, right? And you can just do that for every single class, right? And really, the lectures can be long, but like I said, they are broke. I do tell you to take breaks, right? And so you can break them up into 1 hour gaps, and you kind of do that for your 5 classes, and that's kind of your class day. And I know we're saying, hey, I'm taking an online class. I'm super busy, right? But remember, had you come to a lecture class or an in-person class, you would have sat there for that hour, and then you would have spent your 5 or 6 hours at school or on campus, right? And so that's basically how school works, right? So just try to budget that in your time, right? And if you're working, if you have all these other priorities, make sure to budget that in your time, okay? Because running out of time really is not an issue. The IRS will never say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize tax day was a little too early for you. I'll let you file your taxes later. That's really not how life works, right? And so here is our schedule. You know exactly what to expect. Budget your time, okay? Tip number 2, by the way, life happens, right? Now, there's moments where we're really careless and semi-clueless, and then we got caught, right? That happens. But generally, life is going to happen. People are going to get sick. Stuff is going to happen to you, right? And so just communicate with us, right? Dr. Nipine and I, we listen, we communicate. We definitely do our best to try to help you succeed, right? But in your mind, if it's a series of careless mistakes that's leading you down this path, right? That should really be kind of a red flag to you that says, maybe my process isn't the right process, right? And because, we are not here for handouts. We're here for hands-ups. And so we do our best to help you out, right? But, you have to meet us halfway. And so we got to work together for you to succeed. And that's really our promise to you. Okay, I talk way too much on this kind of stuff. Let's go through some of these others. Any announcements that get sent, we'll go through here. So you can just click on announcements. If you kind of lose it in your email, you can always go back. And sometimes I'll say refer to previous announcements. They're all sitting there. Quizzes and exams, I believe I have none up yet, right? So none of them are up yet, but as it comes, you will see them with the opening times and the closing times. So it'll all be there for you. Follow our homepage schedule to let you know how to get here. Now, if you read the syllabus, you'll know that the quizzes are a random pull of questions from a large pool bank, right? And then it's timed. And so make sure that you are ready for your quizzes and do the quizzes to the best of your ability. You do get 3 tries. I only keep the highest score. Make sure you do all 3 tries. And the reason you have to do all 3 tries, oh, by the way, this is tip number 3, is because your exams come from the same pool of questions, right? And in this case now, it'll be a pool of 50 questions from modules 1, 2, and 3, for example, for exam 1. And then so you will actually have seen some of these questions before when you are taking your exam, right? So the more you study from your quizzes, the more it'll help for your exams. But of course, it's a large pool of questions. You're not going to see all of them. And so don't be that person that says, oh, I didn't do well in exam 1 because many of the questions I didn't see before. Well, remember, this is random probability. You got to prepare for the exam like it's a closed book exam. Again, it's also time, so you don't have time to flip through your notes. Make sure that you're ready and prepped. Use your notes as a crutch. I mean, it would be stupid not to use them. So use them as a crutch to help you when you need to, but don't rely on them. If you are going to rely on them, you will struggle. You will run out of time. I promise you that. So prepare for it like it's closed book. Have it there. In a perfect world, you will never even need it, right? But it's there to help you out when you do. And come ready, come prepped. And some of our assignments as we go through will help you guide you through that process, okay? So take your quizzes 3 times. They will help you for the exams, right? But study for the content as well. Right? This is a class after all, right? This is not a thing where we just kind of throw A's out. Make sure that you all get an A. You got to earn that A, but we do our best to help you. The discussion board is right over here, and so a very quick and easy way to navigate the discussion board. By the way, every time I log into La Lima, I go straight to the discussion board. I hit on recent topics, and over here it tells you what has been posted. And right over here, where's the little? I guess there's no thingy, but this is white, that means it's been read. When it's yellow, that means it hasn't been read. So basically I just look for here and say, oh, look, these ones are yellow. I'm going to click on it because something new was posted. These ones here are white, that means nothing new was posted. You can just ignore those. So usually what I do, I log in, click on recent topics. I'll just check to see if anything was posted, deal with that. Then I'll go back and do what I was going to do. And then sometimes, kind of out of habit, right before I leave, I'll just click on discussion board, hit recent topics again, and bang, you're checking, just in case something happened, right? And so it's a very quick, it takes, okay, let's do this. Ready? And I logged in, I click on discussion board, I hit recent topics, and then I see what I need to see, right? And that's really all it takes. So once again, you can't use, oh, I didn't see that on the discussion board, or I didn't know about that as it is. It just takes too long. These are very simple things that you can do. Make it your habit, make it your practice, and then I promise you, it's really easy. It's just you have to make it part of your process, right? You have to decide that that's part of your process. I can't make you do it, okay? And once you do that, everything becomes easy. And then if you have questions about the exam, quizzes, right? So, hey, I found this question really difficult. And some of you are going to email me, by the way. And I'm going to say, post it on the discussion board, right? In our discussion board, if you go to discussion home, you'll see our different forums here. Problems with quiz questions. Do you have any questions? Post, right? And it actually really helps to say, hey, guys, here's my question. Sorry, hey, people, here's my question. Here's the choices for the question. This is what I chose. It was the wrong answer. And, I think maybe it's actually this choice and not that choice. Can anyone help me out? And then if you see someone posting, you should post yourself, right? And this whole collaborative teaching and learning is a really great way to, get answers, but also reinforce what you know. And then this kind of collaboration is something that I'm going to encourage. And then I monitor these things all the time. So if people are providing the right answers, I'm like, hey, that's the right answer. Good job. If people are providing the wrong answers, I say, oh, that was the wrong answer. Maybe you got to think about it this way. And then maybe the last thing I'm going to say is just read the questions carefully, right? The questions, many of them, because it's from a large pool, sound quite similar to each other. And so if you're not reading carefully, you're going to say, oh, I know this question. Bang, the answer is A. And it's like, nope. Actually, if you noticed, one word was changed. And so that's a very different question that you're answering. So don't be careless. Read things carefully, right? Set a schedule, etc., 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 etc. Right? And so here's our various things in class discussions. That's where our discussions are going to be. So if you have any general questions about the class, post it here. But otherwise, the discussion assignments and things like that I post are going to be here. You'll see 3 of them up already. So just kind of scroll your way through there. I do grade them kind of at a batch at the end. So if you post it, you're going to get your points for it. You don't have to ask me, am I going to get my points? You will get your points, right? It's just, don't worry about it. Just make sure you post. Later, I'll have a little thing on here about how to, sometimes we're going to get lots and lots of posts, how to see whether you posted or not, but we'll deal with that later. Quiz questions, if you have any problems, post here. And then later about the disease profile project, post over here. These are group-based. I will randomly choose groups, but I will also give you opportunity to choose the people in your group, provided that they are groups of 3. All right, but that's, again, a later problem. We need to make sure our rosters are set before we can deal with the group project. I think that's all I want to say for now with respect to the class. Over time, more things will come up, and then usually I'll post them on the board, maybe in an announcement. At the beginning of the semester, the announcements tend to be more frequent, but then once we start getting settled into rhythm, I do try to stick to something like weekly announcements, just because I don't want to inundate, right? That said, expect a weekly class discussion. Make sure that you're checking the discussion board all the time and just post in those class discussions. I don't always announce them because I want you to check the discussion board, okay? And so just expect there to be a weekly or at least a modular class discussion. I think that's all I want to say for now. I'm pretty sure I forgot some things. If I do, I'll add them in future announcements. If you have questions, remember what I said, post it on the discussion board. If it's a specific thing that only counts for you, then I'd be more than happy to address that by email, so send me an email. But if it's a general thing, make sure you post it because everyone else will benefit from that. Okay, that's it. So on the behalf of Dr. Nirpani and myself, let's have a wonderful semester. Let's get started off on the right foot. It's going to be a long semester, but at some point, we're just going to fly through this thing, right? And so let's have a great semester for both you and for us. And I'm not even going to say best of luck. Let's just all do well.